Greetings, folks. Welcome back to Living Life with Nani and Bobo. Bobo, Nani.
Hi, how's everyone doing today? We're going to touch on marriage again. We've gotten some requests to go back, and one of them was we were standing in line at a food pantry picking up food for an Amish family, and one of the women said, "What's the secret to being?" Because Terry had mentioned we were married for 52 years, and she said, "What's the secret?"
Well, I'm not so sure there is a secret, but we could tell you about what, and this is what I always tell people, I don't know about a secret, but I can tell you what we've done for 52 years, and it's a host of things, but one of the things is um, you have to go into marriage with no exit plan. No plan for exit. So I think a lot of younger people today, they think, well, if this don't work, we'll try it out. If it don't work, then I can get out. That's not what it's about.
Right, you have to, for us, we started out as best friends. We knew each other growing up and we were best friends, and we always have been. That's always been the priority. Nobody else came before each other. We had our own separate lives, of course, as far as having other friends and doing things, but we learned to, you know, confide in each other. We didn't have secrets. We lived very honest, and like he said, with no, it didn't matter how much you argued, because we argued. Like I said
Everybody
in the
does.
last one, he's Irish, I'm Italian. We argued, but we resolved, and we knew that this was for life, and we didn't want to be with anyone else, and so that's how we started out, and we built upon that.
One thing before I lose the thought. Um, so, part of the reason this channel is it's living life with Nani and Bover. Last 7 decades of stuff that you just learn by osmosis as you go through. And one of the glaring differences to me between when we were raised, 50s, 60s, early 70s, children didn't count, especially back in the 50s and 60s. We went to grandma's house on Sunday, and dad said, "You guys go sit in that chair and you don't come and bother the adults. Don't come in here, don't talk to us unless somebody's bleeding." Well, as a kid back then, you were kind of irrelevant, right? I mean, we went out, old story, you go out and you come back for lunch, you come back for dinner, you come back for the lights, or go out outside, and then they don't even know where you are all day. Today, it's just the opposite. The term helicopter parent. Children are the center of people's marriage and their homes, and I'm not so sure that's a real good thing, because I tell you why, the kids are gonna go away someday.
And that was one of the things, we were very realistic. We were very aware that we were going to go through stages in life. And when the first one graduated and got a little bit older and decided to move out, was that tough? Of course. That's your first, that's your baby. And it was very difficult. But we had a good marriage that when by the time the third one left, we didn't miss a beat. We just learned to live our lives with each other,
I
and
got
it
news for
wasn't
you,
the
folks.
end. And so many people I had talked to, they were just devastated when that child moved out. Well, it's an adjustment, it's a change, but God created us to go through all these different
The kids,
stages.
your job is to work yourself out of a job. Your job as a parent is to prepare your kid to leave and go start their own life. And people want to, my child is my best friend, and no, 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 that philosophy doesn't work. You can't be your best friend to your children and then try and steer them in the right direction when they're going in the wrong direction.
No, we never did that. I always told my kids, I love you. Someday we'll be a friend, but when you're growing up, it's my job to discipline, it's my job to lead you in the right direction. So, another thing that I think is very important is to learn to find things that you like to do together. So, he liked motorcycles. I had no idea if I was going to like that. He went out, bought a motorcycle, and that became our summer entertainment for how long?
23 years.
23 years till like last year when we finally sold it. And you learn to. I wouldn't have bought a motorcycle. That probably wouldn't have been my choice. But that's what's nice.
There's
is,
no question it wouldn't have been your choice.
Yeah, so it's nice that he introduced something and we both ended up loving it. And like I said, it was entertainment all summer long.
Which brings me to another point about marriage. You hear all the time about how opposites attract. I don't necessarily agree with that. My view is she possesses skills and abilities and characteristics that I don't. I have a couple that she don't. And so the idea is you take those on from each other and you become one. The Bible talks about, a man shall leave his mother and father and join to his wife and they become one. That's not just a quaint saying. That's the idea, is to become one, not two different people. You have your life, I have mine. It's common today for couples to have separate bank accounts. They go on separate vacations. To me, that's setting yourself up for a big failure.
Totally. So.
But what do I know? We've only been married for 52 years.
And and again, the way we got married, no one expected us to survive. We were young. We didn't do the big wedding. We had no family when we got married, and so they were all on the other side of the
world.
Yeah, basically.
I was in the Navy at the time. She flew to Guam, where I was stationed, and we got married there because, as we mentioned in an earlier video, we didn't have any money. And I found out that if you get married, the Navy gives you $400 more a month, and you're eligible for base housing. So we got married.
So I mean, if you did statistics and you did what you're told,
well, the vast majority
we shouldn't have survived.
The vast majority, as a matter of fact, not the vast majority, but every one of our friends, my shipmates, during that time period where I was stationed, every one of them that were married have long been divorced.
And that's something else we've just recently learned, is how many military, when you're in the military, a marriage does not survive. Well, we survived that. We survived.
And that was during a war.
Yeah, we survived a whole lot of other stuff that we won't get into today. But that's part of it. Is we made that choice to put each other first. We didn't, we loved our children. They're a big part of our life, of course, but they weren't the center. And so when they left, like I said, we were able to move on, and it wasn't a problem. And then we were both on the same page as far as finances. I wouldn't say discipline with the kids. I was the disciplinary. He is the one that, even to this day, they could come and ask for anything, he'll give it.
I was scared to death of my father growing up. My father was a very, very mean World War II veteran. At the time, I didn't understand it, but now I do. I mean, he had a rough go of it for 4 years. But I made a point and said to myself that when I have children, I don't want my children to be afraid of me. So I kind of let them do whatever they want.
And so that was very important. And as far as the finances, it was shared.
Well,
he didn't want to be real involved with the finances. He knew what we have, but that was my strength. And you hear in the church a lot where, the man should do all the finances. No, the one who has that strength. That was my strength.
That's what I was talking about just a few seconds ago. The money thing's not a strength of mine. It's not that, when I was a single sailor, money didn't last me long. But money's never meant anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'll make some more. But I also know that I'm not good with it. So I don't know that I've ever, back then when you had paper paychecks, I don't know that I really ever cashed a paycheck. I knew that she was good with money, so I bring the check home to her, which is why we paid our house off many, many, many years ago, because she's good with money. I'm not.
And so that's how we've always operated. And then when we would go buy a big purchase, that was one of the things salesmen never liked about us, is we'd say, We'd look, we'd ask our questions, we'd say it was a car. We would test drive, whatever. And then they'd think, I remember the one, he actually took the plates off of our old car, put them on the
He was
car he
that
thought we were going to
confident.
buy. And I said, absolutely not. I said, we go home and we will pray about this. And if this is what we should do, then that's, and they don't like that, but
No,
that's how we have always
we
operated.
didn't buy our first brand new vehicle until I was 50, and I was, how old was I when we were married? 20.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had been married 30 years before I we bought our first brand new vehicle, because you just can't buy whatever you set your eyes on.
Well, and then when we had our own business, we said from day one, we will not hang on if this business is to put us in debt. That was one thing, we were not going to go into any kind of debt. And sure enough, the market
Yeah,
crashed and
2008, or it actually started 2007.
yes, and so we knew that this was it was window restoration. It was restoring older windows to modern looking windows, but not losing that architectural character of them. So when 2008 crashed, people were not going to fix windows. That was not a priority. That's a luxury.
So we sold it.
So we knew we were other people hung on and it almost destroyed them, but we said no. If we have to start all over again, we're starting all over again, but we will not be in that kind of debt. And God was good. We got a buyer. We had no debt. And yes, we started all over again. And there's been many times in our life where we've started from scratch again. And but we were always on the same page. It wasn't like you did this, you did that.
And that's another point, that for many young people today, and I know you sound like an old guy, but I am. When things get tough, they tend to quit, and that's what I'm. You have to go into it with. We don't have an exit plan. There's no failure option here. We're going to see this through to the end. And there's been a lot of tough times, but you figure it out. And like you said, we've recreated ourselves probably 3, 4 times. Um, but the major point of all of this, how do you stay married for 52 years? We've been born again Christians for those 52 years. And if Christ is the center of your marriage, you got a really, really good foundation.
And you can withstand the difficult times, because it's not to say difficulty doesn't come, because it comes. That's life.
Oh, you can count on that.
And but we were able to withstand it. We were on the same page of our faith and prayer and trusting that God
The
was
Bible
in the
talks
midst of
about
it all.
being unequally yoked, and that's a good point. It's a difficult one. If you're of different mindsets concerning faith, you're gonna have a hard time. We joke sometimes, saying I'm not so sure that arranged marriages aren't a good idea. When she was 18 and I was 20, we had no clue about what real love is. You see a lot of it on TV and social media. It's, oh, it all looks great, and roses and candy, and life's wonderful. You don't even hardly know anybody when you're first married, let alone love them. So it's my view that you learn to love somebody. Yeah, you might love them a little bit. You might be infatuated with them. You might have a lot of things in common, but you don't really know how to love them yet.
And that's touching on that would be the respect. You respect each other as an individual. He had things he liked to do, go do them. I had things, we had not separate friends, but different friends. We had couple friends.
Which is another good point. Um, I have male friends, not a lot, and she has female friends. If there's anybody out there that thinks that you can have a close relationship with the opposite sex and not run yourselves into trouble, you're mistaken.
We're really firmly believe that. I know there's people who will argue that, but I have seen too many where the other wants more than than what the other one is thinking, and so that's
especially with men. I mean, let's be honest here.
true.
Yeah.
So again, Terry was going to talk a little bit about that word submission. People get that a
Well,
little
especially in the church
muddy.
today, you hear a lot of, and it's a matter of doctrine, I suppose. But if you look at Scripture, the Bible talks about wives submit to your husbands. But if they have a tendency to leave this part out, uh, well, where did I go? Yeah, here we are. Nevertheless, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Let me say that again. In particular, so love his own wife as himself. So it's not about your wife submitting to your every whim. It's about Christ. You're right. The Bible says that the man is the head of the house, as just like Christ is the head of the church. Okay, that's a picture, but it doesn't give you the right as a husband to reign over your wife and demand that she do everything you ask. That's not what Scripture's talking about.
That's back to respect. You respect each other. You're kind to each other. You're good to each other. You respect each other. That just should be the norm. Unfortunately, that's not always true.
I've said this many, many times. You may have heard it, but my relationship with my wife and my relationship with God are very based similarly. So I do things for my wife that I think would please her, and there's things I don't do because I know they won't please her. Same thing with God. There's things I don't cuss like a sailor. God will still love me, but I just think it makes God happy that I don't. So there's things I do, there's things I don't do because I want to please Him. That's a real good, between Christ and that alone, that's a good foundation for marriage.
Absolutely. There's, of course, we could go on and on, but
You're not going to treat it. The Bible talks about love your wife as yourself, as Christ loved the church. I mean, you, you're not going to be mean to yourself. You're not going to tell yourself to do stupid stuff. So why would you expect your wife to?
right. So that's kind of where we've come from. Like you said,
There's no secret to being married for 52
there
years.
is no secret.
You each
It's
have
work.
to figure it out for yourselves.
It's work. I tell people that all the time. It's work, and sometimes it's hard work, and sometimes it's taping your mouth shut when you want to say something. Sometimes you want to say things you shouldn't say,
And sometimes you do.
And sometimes you do.
And that's another point. Now, especially when we were younger, we could argue like the best of them, but there's rules to arguing. In 52 years, we've never once called each other a vile name when disagreeing. We've never sworn at each other. We never disagree with each other in public. We never tell if my wife's not around, I never tell my friends that, oh, she did this, she did that, and she's this. It's insane to do that.
Yeah.
I always tell guys, you get guys sitting around in a job site or something in his break time, and it almost always comes back to, yeah, my wife this and my wife that, and I say to them every time, then you married the wrong one, right? And you wouldn't say this if she was here.
Exactly. So, like he said, no secrets. Work at it.
Commit to it. Commit.
Commit. Just like if you have a relationship with Christ, it's a commitment. And again, hard times come, things happen.
You got to know they're coming. You ain't getting out of this life without some hardships. It's just that simple.
But how nice that you have each other to go through. Like
right.
The incident that we're in now, and we've talked plenty about that, and we said we weren't going to, but it's heartache. It's some really deep heartache. And one day I'm gonna cry, and one day he's crying, and
men don't cry.
Well, they do, and
this one does.
And you have to be supportive to each other. That one day it's hard to lift your head, and and that's where that loving partner comes in, not demanding that you shouldn't feel this way, you shouldn't do that. Well, no, you have to respect each other, where they're at, what they're doing, how they're feeling.
You guys, you have to make your wife feel safe and secure, and that doesn't mean just physically.
That's
Trust
true.
me, I go to great lengths to protect my wife.
That's true.
But it's not just physically, it's mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's your job.
That's true. And and I remember one time I told this young girl I was working with that when we would go to the mall, he put me in the inside, he walks on the outside. There's always protection. She's like, "Are you kidding? I never heard of such a thing." Unfortunately, you don't see a lot of
No.
that anymore. I'm very grateful my sons are like that. I'm very grateful my daughter's husband is just like him. Um, Very, very protective. Maybe sometimes overly protective, but that's okay. I think women, here's one thing. I know women want to feel safe. They want to feel protected. They
There's a
don't
lot of them
want,
today will try and tell you they don't want that.
and that's not, that has nothing to do with you're not strong and you're not capable. You just
No.
want to feel that somebody has your back, cares about you, protecting you. And I don't know, for us, that's the role. Like, I wouldn't want to be married to someone that I had to protect and take care
Well,
of.
that's that toxic masculinity thing that was going around for a while. Let me ask you something. If you're any woman, single woman, I don't know, whatever, and you're at the mall and it's 9 o'clock at night and it's dark out and you got to walk all the way to the other end of the parking lot to get your car, and you're scared. Who do you want to walk with you? A toxic masculine man, or I won't say the rest.
Don't say the rest. But that's not to say, like, this is for concerning marriage. This is concerning
Right.
us. Everybody finds what works for them.
Well, I gotta
We're
tell
just
you,
answering the question, how did you stay
right.
married 52 years? This is how we stayed married 52
Maybe
years.
maybe fearing your wife is what works, because I got to tell you a story. This is years ago. My wife is a clean freak. I'm brushing my teeth and I get a couple little splatters on the mirror, and my instant thought was, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me." But then I realized, she weighs 110, 12 pounds. She can't make me do anything. But I do it because I love her and I respect her and I want her to be happy.
And so now here we are in retirement, and he helps clean the house. He helps
I don't
in all
help cook. I
things.
cook most of the time.
And took on some new roles that were never, but that's just where you were in life. He went to work, I was a stay-at-home mom, so you had the dinner ready, that whole thing. But it's all changed, and now again, out of respect, we help each other, do what you have to do. But
Right.
it's been a good 52 years, and hopefully more. And
You got to fight for it, my friends. If it's worth it, it's worth it. Fight for it. Don't throw the towel in.
so that's that. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully we will be back. I know we
Hit
will.
that little
Yes,
subscribe
hit the
button or
subscribe.
like button, whatever all that stuff is.
Yes, all of those things that we still are figuring out how
We're
to do.
still figuring this
But
out.
we're grateful to be here. We're grateful for you guys who do tune in and listen to us. And so
We got a comment the other day about, a very encouraging thing, how this helps somebody and this and that. So that's the reason for this, is that just a little community where we can all share and kind of support each other. That's all.
thank you. Until next time. Be
God bless. And I got to shut it off the hard way because the remote thing broke.